Hi everyone, welcome to the Bare Necessities. Today we are making Hootycreeks. Hootycreeks have picked up a little bit of steam. You can find hundreds of recipes. They're all basically the same. It's because they all come from the same place, allrecipes.com. These cookies were created by a woman named Susan Odell, who made these cookies. She did. She owns it. It is her recipe. The reason they're called Hootycreeks is that's the name of the road she lives on. So the way she describes it is, this is where the cookies were born, so they were named here. That's how they got their funky little name of Hootycreek, like hooty, like owl. So of course I have to make that. This is a recipe I've made for a couple of years now. I found it in an All Recipes cookbook. They've apparently printed it in 2 of their cookbooks now, attributing it also to Susan Odell. And I just want to make sure that Susan gets the credit for this recipe. I've switched it up a little bit just because 1, didn't have the ingredient I needed, and 2, we have a nut allergy, so we had to change something out. For this recipe, you're going to start with your hot box. Thank you. Perfect timing. At 350 degrees and get that going. These move fairly quickly, but you can let them sit and just kind of mellow. So first we have a 1.5 cups of flour. You can use gluten-free baking, whatever your mix is. It works really well for these because it's not really dependent on the kind of flour. You're not building up any gluten or anything, so you don't have to worry about that. Next, we have a 1/3 cup of sugar and a 1/3 cup of packed brown sugar. I'm using Sugar Alternatives. You have 2/3 cup of oats. I'm using rolled oats. You can use quick oats. Either one works just fine. We have 1 stick that is 4 ounces or 8 tablespoons of butter. It was in the freezer, so I melted it and I've let it cool all the way down to room temperature, so it is soft but solid. We have 1 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and in here we have 3/4 cup of, I took pumpkin seeds because the original recipe that I found calls for pistachios, chopped up finely. There's a nut allergy. My husband, he's allergic to tree and ground nuts, and he used to be able to eat pistachios and cashews, and then those have gone too, so now it's just nothing. He gets soy nut butter, fine, or pumpkin seeds. So I have put these pumpkin seeds in my spice grinder and just kind of chopped them up for a second. That way I got a little bit of fine texture out of it and also still some chunks, but I didn't want big seeds because you want them to be fairly finely chopped. You can chop them by hand. You can put them in if you have a molcajete, or if you have a mortar and pestle, whatever you've got, just to kind of crush them up. You need them in fairly fine small pieces, but you don't have to have them powdery. I do because spice grinder. Then I also did not have white chocolate chips. Y'all, I swear, I planned for this, and then I walked through the grocery store and my brain was like, hey, what even are ingredients? So I have 3/4 cup of dark chocolate chips in here. Usually it calls for white chocolate chips. Then we have 3/4 cup of dried cranberries. So we are working with that. And then finally, 1 egg. That's all you need. This is a fairly simple, quick put together cookie, like I said. And so let's get started with that. First, into our bowl, into our mixing bowl, I'm going to add my butter. That is, as you can see, very soft, but still solid. It is not liquid at all. And that's where we want it. We are going to let these sit for just a few minutes to kind of set up once everything's mixed together. But you need that butter to be able to really break down quickly. And into our butter, actually grab my butter bowl here for a second. Let's crack an egg. Cool. No shell. All right, so let's put our egg in here and into all of that. our vanilla. And we're going to start by creaming this together just to kind of get the egg broken up and everything started to be mixed. So those are creamed together. They don't have to be perfect because we're going to continue creaming them together with other ingredients. Next, we're going to add our 1/3 of a cup of sugar and 1/3 of a cup of packed brown sugar. And get those well mixed in. All right, quick and easy. Then we're going to start by adding our oats. Get them all mixed together and ready for the last few dry ingredients. Into our flour, I'm going to go ahead and mix our salt and baking soda. That way it's already there and it's well mixed in. Okay, and we're just gonna dump it all in. No need to be all fancy. We're just going to get this gently mixed together. All right, and our dough is coming together well. It does get a little stiff. So there we go. Finally, let's add all of our chunks. So excited. Again, this is 3/4 of a cup of dried cranberries, 3/4 of a cup of, it's white chocolate chips in the original recipe, so let's stick with that. Thank you, Susan. And then 3/4 of a cup of chopped pistachios, nuts, whatever you can have. Peanuts are actually really good in this. They're a little oily though, so be careful with that. Walnuts, pecans, whatever you've got. Make sure that they're chopped finely, and that's all that matters. And we're just going to get everything mixed in as evenly as possible. So I will see you back in just a few seconds. Okie dokie, so I've got this mixed together. Try to get as even as possible. I've still got some clumps of chocolate, so I may just continue mushing with my hands just a little bit. We just don't want to overheat it too much. So grab our parchment-lined baking sheets. You don't have to use parchment if you have good baking sheets, but you're going to want to use something if you have pans that are sticky, since this does have the sugar, the chocolate, so many things that add sugary ingredients. And we're just going to get these scooped up really quick. So I have scooped up, this made 17.5. It makes about 16 cookies. If you're doing a 2 tablespoon cookie, which I am. Sorry, 4 tablespoon. 4. These are 2 ounces each. So fairly big cookies. These don't spread a whole lot. They'll just kind of puff up and become soft, chewy, fluffy cookies, which is nice. And I was able to make one little bear-sized one, so that's perfect. I'll be able to taste them. Yum. So excited. So now let's get this into our 350-degree oven. And these are going to bake for 8 to 10 minutes. They don't take very long to bake. I'm going to probably go for about 10 minutes in my oven, knowing how it works. And so, of course, you know how I go. I will, at the halfway point, turn them around, since the front of my oven is different than the back as far as temperature. And then I will also switch the pans from middle rack to lower rack. That way they all get a chance to be in different parts of the oven, and the heat is evenly distributed across all the cookies. Uniformity. That's the goal here. So let's get these baking, and I'll see you back in just a few seconds. All right, everyone, we are back. Our cookies baked for exactly 10 minutes, so 5 minutes, top, bottom, rotate, perfect. They came out lovely, brown on the bottom, brown on the sides, but soft and squishy in the center, just like we like them. They smell amazing. Let's give the little bear-sized one a taste. Yum chocolate. Now, the original recipe does call for white chocolate chips, which are incredibly sweet. And they kind of make up for the fact that we actually don't have a huge amount of sugar in here, which is nice. It is 2/3 of a cup. Yes, I get that. But really, cookies like this would call easily for way, way more than that. So let's consider that a victory here. The chocolate in them is amazing. The cranberry chunks, chewy, soft, tart, delicious. And then we have the little chunks of, for me it's pumpkin seeds, but whatever nut you use, that little crunch that you get right there at the end, along with some of the oatmeal, especially the oatmeal that was exposed to the outside. So it got a little crisp too, but it's just chewy and soft and grains. Oh, there's a reason why oatmeal cookies are my absolute favorite. I could go on about them forever, but oats really are one of my favorite foods on the planet. I can't have too much, so when I do get some, it just makes me so joyful. And these cookies definitely hit all those points. It's nice to have something that's such a lovely treat, quick to make, delicious, and simple. There weren't a whole lot of ingredients or a whole lot of time. You can add whatever you want to the inside of them. If you just want to do raisins, do raisins. It's a good classic oatmeal cookie recipe in the end, but it's less sweet. So remember that. Like, these are a little bit milder on the sweetness. If you want to, I don't know, switch it up and try something crazy like cherries or anything else, really, have at it. Enjoy it. Make them your own. As always, your kitchen is yours. Take what you're making and make it yours too. I hope you enjoy making these as much as I do, because yum. And thank you, Susan Odell, for this recipe and the many, 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 many reproductions of it. They're amazing. And I want to thank you if you ever see this. Thank you so much, Susan. These are awesome. And until I see all of y'all again, bye.